Warning! If you hate being outside in nature, you hate large lots with nice sized homes on them, or you hate a small town community feel, you might want to skip this video. But if this sounds like your style, you might just fall in love with the area. Welcome to Spring Grove, Illinois. Think charm, community, convenience, and just overall quality of life. It's really just an overall great place to live, with tons of opportunity to get out in nature at local state parks, attend amazing events locally, like the 4th of July parade, or the amazing 4th of July show put on by Bella Kane, or maybe you just want a good amount of land, maybe an acre with a decent sized home on the lot. We're talking, so you can find those 2 and 3 bedroom homes, a little bit smaller homes. Plus there are a ton of communities and neighborhoods in Spring Grove that have 1 acre or more lots. I'm Megan Farmer, your Northern Illinois realtor, and I help people buy and sell homes all across Northern Illinois. Plus, I like to give you all the inside scoop on what's happening in Northern Illinois. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. That way you get notified anytime that there's a new video out. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly, comment on the video, let me know what you're thinking. First, let's touch on why people move out to Spring Grove, Illinois. So Spring Grove is actually quite close to the Wisconsin border. It's a little bit more in the country, a lot of green space around here. There are some businesses around, some local businesses, but most major shopping areas with a lot more businesses are, 15 to 20 minutes away, and even more so, 30 minutes away, 40 minutes away. There's a lot of opportunity for jobs, especially if you're willing to travel a little bit, like I said, that like 30 minutes. But what's nice is being right by the Wisconsin border, it just gives you a lot more options in terms of where you're going to work, the type of work that you want to do. There's a lot of availability for restaurants because not only do we have these areas of major shopping, there's the chain of lakes nearby, and there's a ton of restaurants around and on the chain of lakes. Local restaurants are always looking for people to hire. Hospitality is always in need around here just because it's a slightly tourist area. But when it comes to Spring Grove itself, it's just far enough away that really and truly the majority are owners. There's very few people that rent in Spring Grove, so you can expect a lot of people that really care for their homes on the outside and everything, since they are actually living in the homes. So overall, very, very nice area. So if you're living in the city of Chicago or even farther out in the suburbs where it's still very, very dense, and you're just looking to go and live somewhere where it's a lot more quiet and you can really just relax at home and just travel to the busy areas, whether that's for work or any other type of appointments that maybe you want something unique that's a little bit farther away, then you can do that. Just come back home where it's quiet, relax, and go to the nice busy suburban areas or city of Chicago events anytime you want still. It's very easy to get out in nature in Spring Grove, Illinois. A lot of forest preserves all around, but especially in Spring Grove. There's the Chain of Lakes State Park right here. There's an entrance right in Spring Grove where you can fish, you can boat, you can hike or walk or run, and you can camp. So if you're into either tent or RV camping, both of those are options at the Chain of Lakes State Park. And of course, like I said, with the boating and the boat launch, you can jet ski. You can also head over to Nippersink Creek. You can canoe and kayak. Plus, it's just a scenic waterway where you can enjoy nature, because when it comes to the warmer months of the year, you can see not just your typical hawks and deer and owls, a lot of eagles all along the water areas and the wetlands. And actually, recently, about last year, we had a snowy owl just in another city not that far away. We get all sorts of interesting nature. So from time to time, you hear about sightings of not just things like bears, but mountain lions. They like to travel through Illinois as well. They usually don't hang around. It's literally just traveling, but you can from time to time hear of a sighting about them. And of course, there's a ton of cranes. There's a ton of other lake birds, seagulls, and everything. And of course, the entire area is just surrounded by farmland and prairie lands. So it's kind of the mix of, there's a lot of flat land, but then as you're driving through kind of like the Chain of Lakes area, it's very rolling hills because it's always kind of hilly just right around the lakes, which makes sense. And then as you get a little bit farther out, it gets flat again, like super Illinois flat. And of course, for those people that love to bike, that's amazing for them to have those kind of rolling hill areas to be able to bike on, kind of vary that workout compared to the much flatter roads. And of course, for all those winter enthusiasts, we've got Wilmot Mountain. So snowboard, ski, there's even a tubing hill. So you can get, if you live locally, maybe you go a lot, just get their season pass. It's worth it. So if you are into snowmobiling, along the roads, they've got the signs for like stop or whatever, or if you need to like go around something, those signs get put out every year and taken down later in the spring. If you're looking to board your horses and you want to live in Spring Grove or surrounding areas, North Hill Farm is where to go. You can always kind of see how the horses are cared for because they go out into the fields. You kind of drive past those fields. There's also local areas for RV and boat storage. So just a lot of opportunity for getting outside in various ways, whether that's the forest preserves and the boating, winter, skiing, snowboarding, riding your horse if you've got a horse, all sorts of outdoor fun to be had. And of course, all sorts of wildlife. And yes, the Facebook groups are all, coyote in my backyard, careful, coyote on my camera, coyote. So yes, you can see coyotes out here. You always kind of want to watch for that, and pretty much anywhere in Illinois, because coyotes can jump pretty high fences, so you got to be careful with your dogs or any other pets that are outside. Keep them protected at night. You don't see them all that much, but if you live closer to farmland or these like natural forest preserves or anything, always keep that extra eye out at night. If you have outdoor cameras around your home, check those cameras before you let your dog out, just in case. Make sure there was no recent activity of something walking by. And of course, when you also live out here, you get the occasional northern lights viewing. So you can absolutely see the northern lights. Sometimes you can see them with your bare eye. Sometimes you do need to use kind of the dark mode on your phone, but it's absolutely beautiful. You can see the stars a lot better out here. So if you've got a fire and you just love kind of hanging out at night, especially in the fall, you can look at the stars, watch the meteor showers, or view the northern lights and just kind of see how they change if you're outside for any significant amount of time. Because they'll fade, they'll come back even brighter, they'll fade, and you can kind of just see the greens, the pinks, all sorts of amazing colors that come from that. And of course, as I mentioned, winter, it's Illinois, 4 true seasons. You've got your winter, your spring, your summer, and your fall. Usually pretty distinct. Occasionally they all happen in the same day, essentially, weather-wise. For your local shopping and dining, Spring Grove has limited options, but the necessities are there. So you've got Jewel Osco for your groceries. That's right in town. So it's just, for most people, it's going to be a 5 to 7 minute drive within Spring Grove. You've got a Walgreens, so another, Jewel Osco and Walgreens can both do your prescriptions. And then there's a lot of local restaurants, the Grove Pub and Grill, Billy's Beef Hot Dogs and more, a Bricks and Ivy Tavern. You've got Casey's Cabin. You've got Sailor Mix, The Lodge. And for when you want to have a lot of fun and head over the border into Wisconsin, Herner's Hideaway. So they've got bands. They have some outdoor activities that you can do, bags and whatnot, and just excellent food and just a lot of fun. Same thing with Casey's Cabin. They're always doing like bags tournaments and volleyball and all sorts of fun stuff. All sorts of local restaurants. In my opinion, one of the best Chinese food restaurants that I've found in a very, very long time is in Spring Grove, as well as one of the best breakfast places, Midwest Breakfast. They have an amazing French toast. I think it's called like breaded French toast. I can't remember what it's called, but it's kind of a piece of French toast in funnel cake batter, and it looks kind of like a funnel cake around it. And it is so good. It's just adds that extra oomph to the French toast. It's so good. But of course, when you want all that major shopping, it's not too far away. 15 to 20 minutes for many places, super Walmarts and Myers for varying, grocery places. You've got Home Depot and Menards in a couple different areas, couple options, couple different location options there. There's an Ace Hardware in Richmond. Tractor Supplies are around. And of course, the bigger restaurants and more restaurants. So Spring Grove has a McDonald's for fast food. You go to Fox Lake, you're going to find Culver's and Taco Bell, of course, another McDonald's, some other restaurants there, especially in downtown Fox Lake. And you go farther, you can find Wendy's and Popeyes and all sorts of stuff. So lots of options, a ton of pizza options as well around Spring Grove. You got Tammy's, and like I've mentioned, Sailor Mix is another good like pizza option. Of course, Rosati's is around. They're right in Richmond, which is kind of Spring Grove's sister city, as they go to the same schools. So as well as shopping, you're not going to be shorted. Plus, we're near Wisconsin. Lake Geneva and all of their shopping is only 20 minutes away. So you want more boating, bigger lake, different water, head on over to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Amazing. A lot of celebrities love to go out to Lake Geneva. It's a perfect little mini vacation getaway. When it comes to events and activities, you're not going to be short on those in Spring Grove. You're just not. Because in the nicer months, you've got Richardson's Adventure Farm. So you have in the spring a tulip festival, so a nice photo op. Go see their giant field of various colors of tulips, kinds of tulips. Go, like I said, take pictures. It's perfect for, family photos, pet photos, whatever you want. And then they also do so much more. So they have events throughout the summer. They'll do like mud runs and that sort of stuff. And then closer to the fall, they've got a sunflower maze and pumpkin picking, as well as a whole fall fest. So Richardson's has the world's largest, most intricate corn maze. So they do special designs every year, and this year's came out already, and it's a Back to the Future theme. So the whole design is kind of a Back to the Future theme. It kind of shows the clock and all sorts of like the face, and it's really, really cool. So they've got that, and then you can pick the pumpkin, sunflower maze, plus just all sorts of activities. They have big things to jump on. They got a little train, a carousel, food. You get those fresh apple cider donuts. They're absolutely delicious. Plus other food trucks in there and other food, tacos, and just so many options. And of course, they have, wine tastings and all sorts of stuff in a little shop that they actually have open a lot longer than just like the activities that they have set throughout the year. The first weekend in June is amazing too, I want to add, because they have fireworks. They have an event with music, and then there's fireworks. So if you live close enough, you can actually just watch them from your house. And same thing, on to my next point, 4th of July, they do a parade and fireworks. So same thing, depending on where you live, you might have a great view of the fireworks from your own house, or you simply go over to Horse Fair Park or park somewhere in one of the parking lots nearby, one of the businesses, and you might get a nice viewing of their fireworks. And the night before July 4th, July 3rd, so Bella Cane is a high energy top 40s country band. So they cover a bunch of the fun country music, and they just have a great time on stage, and it makes you have a great time. And then throughout the year, there's always kind of small town celebrations. The fire, station will do steak cookout, and there's always like a back to school event and the start of summer event, and there's like bounce houses and everything, and on all sorts of food trucks. There's a trunk or treat, which the trunk or treat gets so packed. And there's food there as well. I mean, just constant events just throughout the year for people to go to. And of course, you've got bigger concerts as well that aren't that far. So McHenry Music Festival's got one in September typically. So that's not that far away. It's only about 20-minute drive away. You've got Country Thunder, which happens in mid-July. So big country artists there, big. So that's right in Twin Lakes. That's only about a 10 to 15-minute drive, depending on where you live in Spring Grove. Buy the weekend pass, go when you want. It's amazing. Come back home, even more amazing. If you don't like camping, or camping when it's potentially really muddy, which it gets there, go back home. So when it comes to the location and the commute, it can be, almost an hour and a half drive to Chicago, especially when you consider traffic. Can be longer than that. It really just depends on that traffic closer to Chicago and the time of day that you're going. You could drive and deal with that. You can also hop on the metro train. So there's a metro train not that far away, 10 minutes away. Head into the city that way if that's what you prefer, is the metro train. Plus, there's also a lot of opportunity for jobs, in local surrounding cities, in Spring Grove, of course, but just any of the surrounding cities. You got Johnsburg and Ringwood, Richmond, Fox Lake, Antioch. Get out a little further, Libertyville, Vernon Hills, Gurnee, just a ton of industrial and corporate, hospitality, all sorts of various jobs out in the suburbs. You do not have to go to the city to work. You just don't. There's the entire suburban area, especially in the northern part, is got a lot of opportunity for jobs. And of course, it still allows you to live semi-rural or even rural, depending on where you choose to live in Spring Grove. Of course, when it comes to looking to buy a home in Spring Grove or maybe sell and buy, you have a lot of options. There's varying types of homes. You've got a lot of subdivisions like Wilmot Farms, Sundial Farms, The Preserve, Nippersink Manor, Northridge, The Vintage, Spring Grove Estates, Edgewater Manor, Fieldstone Ridge, Breezy Lawn Estates, and so much more that have these, acre more lots that have nice size homes, 4 and 5 plus bedroom homes, oftentimes with basements. Now, one thing to really know about Spring Grove is the majority of Spring Grove is on well and septic. There are some parts kind of by the downtown area that do have public water and sewer. Otherwise, expect to have well and septic. So what does that mean? When you're going to buy, make sure you request that well and septic inspection. So don't forget that. There are a lot of homes in Spring Grove that were built in the 90s. So keep in mind that these homes are kind of like middle of the road. They're not very, very old, but they're not also brand new construction. There's going to be homes that are nice, but might have that potential to need to be updated. When you're looking at homes a little closer to the chain of lakes, you can expect it to be a little bit hillier and some homes that are a little bit smaller, depending on the location. But you can have some really nice big homes, of course, on the chain of lakes, some very nice big homes. And then you get out a little bit farther from the chain, a lot more subdivisions with that acre lot, a little bit more privacy, and even some new construction communities. Overall, these homes are larger, but a lot better value than what you're going to be getting in the farther suburban areas closer to Chicago or in Chicago. I mean, you're probably looking at 2/3 to 3/4 of the cost comparatively. Schools here are highly rated. Niche.com gives the schools an A- rating. So you've got 2 elementary schools, a middle school, and a high school. So you've got Spring Grove Elementary and Richmond Grade School. Plus you've got Richmond Middle School and Richmond Burton High School. So both Richmond and Spring Grove share these schools, and just kind of depends on where you live for the elementary school. Now, if you have a child that can get into the early childhood education, which is, starts if they're 3, I think right now in February, they could go the following year. Potentially, you can get looked at, and that's through Spring Grove Elementary. That kind of depends on the needs of the child. Plus, there's kind of a community peer option. They accept so many people's, kids for early childhood education. And then of course, if your kids don't get into the early childhood education, under 5, before kindergarten, there's Launch Enrichment, which is a daycare. Plus there's Grace Lutheran Church, which has a daycare center. They also do like a preschool program, so that's amazing. And then there's some other local ones that you could go to as well. Do your research online to check out if the schools and the sports that are offered are right for you and your family. In terms of activities outside of that, there's opportunities for dance and martial arts and gymnastics and even cheer. So we have competitive dance, around here, competitive cheer. And of course, there's lots of, opportunities for competitive soccer, competitive baseball or softball. You could do, Lower Cotes School of Dance, which is just right in Wilmot. It's just like 5 minutes from Spring Grove. You could go to Firehouse Gym for both either gymnastics or competitive cheer and other classes. There's also Westosha Athletic Club within Spring Grove, same thing, opportunities for gymnastics and various other classes, and even for young kids. There's also Spring Grove Flying Dragons for more martial arts opportunities. So you've got a ton of parks. You got Thaleen Park and Wilmot Farms Park and all sorts of parks throughout different, subdivisions in Spring Grove. Plus you have parks and playgrounds within the Chain of Lake State Park, more than one, that you can go to there as well. And Fox Lake has an amazing new park with a small beach and splash pad. McHenry's got amazing parks and splash pads. You are not short of options when it comes to things to do with your kids. And like I said, the Richardson's Adventure Farms always has various events going on throughout the nicer months. And then, of course, in the winter, they have Christmas trees that you can go and pick out to get a fresh Christmas tree. So in the wintertime too, there's, going to Wisconsin, you can go to the Farm of Lights and drive through, see the amazing little Christmas lights display. And it's fun because it's different for all the songs. So you can drive through it a few times while it goes through the playlist, and it's different every time you go through it. And then of course, there's a bunch of people in Spring Grove that do amazing lights. So you can actually just find some of the best ones and drive through those. I know my son makes me drive through pretty much every day in the wintertime. Once lights are out, yeah, I'm driving by people's homes. Sorry. Also, when it's warmer out, Stoddy's Farm and Market, not just for food, but for fun. Tons of kids' activities there, little rides that they can ride, big slide, more jumping bags. It is Richardson Farm adjacent, but it's kind of on the opposite side of Spring Grove, closer to, Ringwood and McHenry. So both are excellent options of places to go. If you really need somewhere to go where you can get a little bit of work done while letting your kids play and kind of not have to keep that big of an eye on them, Treehouse Cafe in McHenry. It's only about 20 minutes tops from Spring Grove. So you can go and pay and you can be there as long as you want for the day that they're open, and you can get some work done and let your kids just play. And it's got a huge play area. It's indoors, so you don't have to worry about weather. And then of course, the only caveat is no outside food or drink. So they've got a little cafe and everything. So if you want coffee or whatever, you have some options there for that. But yeah, you get to come and you can let your kids play while you get a little work done, or you just need to relax, get them out of the house. And that's especially good in those winter months when you're just, if you don't want to play outside in the snow, or the weather's just so out, or it's too cold, maybe go somewhere like there where the kids can play and get some energy out inside. And of course, for the animal lovers, you can go to McHenry for McBark Park. It's a little dog park that you can go let your dog, run free a little bit. And then of course, within Spring Grove, you have WAG Agility Center, so that if you want to train your dog for various things, scent or whatever, you can go there and your dog can get trained in that. And of course, for grooming and stuff, you have For the Love of Dogs, and then Nature's Feed for all these excellent, pet supplies. So you just have these options for your pets very locally to get them trained and groomed, whatever. When it comes to hospitals and everything, there's some urgent cares in Antioch called Prompt Med. There's, urgent cares in McHenry. There's Well Now. There's the hospital. The closest hospital is in McHenry. It's Northwestern Medicine in McHenry. So that is one of the closest hospitals. You can also go to Barrington or to Good Shepherd in Barrington. It's about another 10 to 15 minute drive, but they're two different hospitals. So you can kind of choose which one you prefer. And for all those, plane lovers, Galt Airport, also not that far away. You can store your plane there if needed. If you, love flying a Cessna around, whatever, you can learn how to fly there, practice your skills there. It's not that far away. And of course, for that late night fun, you have plenty of options for, various little gambling areas, gambling machines at all sorts of places around Spring Grove, and late night fun, all along the chain, really. Especially in those summer months, you can head on over to Blarney Island, the port of Blarney, and then they can take you to Blarney Island, and you can have, drinks and food or whatever there. So you can have a lot of fun there. They do all sorts of fun events throughout the year. And of course, other restaurants and local places all around the chain. Always have a good time. And with Richmond being so close and sharing the schools, you've got some excellent restaurants right over there in their downtown area. They kind of do some of their own events though too, so that's a separate video. But Paisano's, really nice restaurant. So you can go there for a nice meal. It's not very far away. It's only 10-minute drive tops. You got Anderson's Candy Shop, so there's specialty stuff. You can expect, they do events like the Easter Bunny and all sorts of stuff there. And then there's this fun, the Glassmith. So if you want to do something interesting, different, you can create some glass, go there too. Or go to Richmond Cafe or the Richmond Brat House for some food or coffee. And for those that still love to do this, the outdoor theater. So the McHenry Outdoor Theater, not that far, about 15 minutes from Spring Grove, and you can go see a movie or two, pay by the carload, have yourself a good time. They try to be inclusive and have events for, those with sensory needs. So you can pay attention to all those events. But yeah, go see a flick in your car, outdoor theater style. That's also a really fun thing for anyone of any age. And those that love golfing, Fox Lake Country Club, right by Spring Grove. So nice golf. It's one of my husband's favorite places to golf. Plus there's just a ton of options all around. Like, you can't go wrong with golfing in Northern Illinois. If you're looking for fitness, you can do a CrossFit in Spring Grove. There's also Northbound Fitness, so you can go there. Some are very local. There's a couple little ones kind of around. Snap Fitness, I think it's called Era Fitness, is sort of around. All sorts of ones. Planet Fitness is also in McHenry, and some other ones, and I think a new one's opening up there soon. So lots of options for fitness. And of course, fitness classes, a lot of those have fitness classes as well. I also have a map of all places that I think are important to know when coming to live in Spring Grove. And this includes some of those outside places like the hospitals and stuff like that. As you can see, there's a ton to do in Spring Grove. There's a lot that Spring Grove offers. It's got that relaxing, peaceful, more private lifestyle, very community focused feel. So just depends on what you're looking for. If this sounds like something you're interested in, please let me know. Comment on the video, reach out to me if you're interested in moving here. Let me know if there's anything that I left out you'd love me to add for future videos. But until next time, see ya.